This is the Meizu mblu 22 Pro. It has a 5000 mAh battery, a 50 megapixel camera, it comes with a screen with 120Hz refresh rate, and pre-installed is Android 15. And the launch price for this was $79. Before we take a look at the mblu 22 Pro, I just thought I'll do a comparison of unboxing, just to show you the value you can get from these lower costing smartphones. So to start the comparison, here is the iPhone 13 Pro, and in the box you get your charging cable and your phone, and that's about it. Similar story with the OnePlus 13 is in the box you just get your charging cable and your phone. I do realise from different regions you maybe did get the power brick, but from the UK version you only got this. And for the mblu 22 Pro, in the box you get a case, a power brick, a charging cable, a screen protector, and of course the phone. Which is so weird for these lower costing smartphones. You just seem to get so much more value for money. So here's a closer look at the phone, and this is the camera setup. It appears to have a triple camera setup, however it's actually just two lenses. One is a 50 megapixel and the other is a 2 megapixel macro lens. The third I think is just a sensor, and then of course we have the LED flashlight. At the top we have our top speaker, and we also have an aux port, so if you do have headsets with cables you can use them with this phone. At the bottom we have our SIM card tray. We also have a Type-C charging port which can charge up to 18 watts, which is labelled as fast charging. We also have our bottom speaker. And on the side we have our volume rocker and also our power button, which is also a fingerprint reader. So if I just put my thumb on here now, as you can see, it unlocks. It's not the fastest and it hasn't worked every single time for me, so I wouldn't say its accuracy is too good, but it's not too bad, and I actually love the color contrast having a red button. And the SIM card tray has room for, of course, your SIM card, but it also has room for expandable storage, which is really nice and you don't always see. Now let's take a look at cameras. I'm going to compare the iPhone 13 Pro, the OnePlus 13 and the mblu 22 Pro, of course. Now I've taken this shot as a macro shot, so it has either a macro setting or a macro lens. I've tried to keep it as fair as possible, having the same distance away with the same subject matter. Now before I reveal which one took which shot, have a little guess right now and I'll reveal the answers in 3, 2, 1. So as you can see, we have the OnePlus 13 on the left, the iPhone on the right, and of course the Meizu in the middle. I personally think the OnePlus took the better shot. I feel it had more clarity and more depth, but let me know what you think down below, and also let me know if you got it right. For this picture, I've taken it landscape, and I've taken it with the best camera each phone has. So that for the mblu 22 Pro is the 50 megapixel. Now I'll tell you which one's which at the end, but I didn't actually mind any of these photos. I found them all pretty decent, only slight differences with some of them, but if I was to say which one was better, when I compare them now, I personally think once again the OnePlus 13 has better depth and also detail, and overall just better. This is a test of the front-facing camera on the Meizu, and this is a test of the exposure at the top, of course the video and the mics from the sound, and see how it does. This is me testing the front-facing camera on the iPhone 13. You hopefully can see the exposure at the top. You also can have the audio from the mics and just see how well it does. And lastly, this is the front-facing camera of the OnePlus 13. Hopefully you can see the exposure, see what the audio is like from the mics, and see how well it does. Just a really quick video showing the main camera and what stabilization and autofocus is like. Now let's take a look at performance. So I've run a Geekbench benchmark test on all of the phones, and here's the results. So with the mblu 22 Pro, as you can see, the single core score was 405 and the multi-core score was 1355. Not too bad, but not great. To give you some comparison, this is the iPhone 13 Pro and the single core score was 2,452 and the multi-core was 6,134. So it was 2,000 more than the 500 on single score, which is quite a big jump. And also for comparison, this is the OnePlus 13 with a single core score of 2,880 and a multi-core score of 8,691. So yeah, once again, over 2,000 more than the mblu 22 Pro. But I do want to just mention once again, this is a $900+ smartphone and this is a $90 smartphone. So now let's take a look at sound. It has a speaker at the top and a speaker at the bottom. I'm going to play a song right now and I have it at max volume, which is 300%. And just for comparison, this is the OnePlus 13 at max volume with the same song. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. So it's hard to hear all the differences through this mic, but it is much louder on the OnePlus and there's so much more depth to the sound on the OnePlus 13. It's really tinny, it's really quite quiet also on the Meizu, but it's not bad. If you are just listening to a podcast and you want just to understand what the song is saying or what the people are saying from whatever video you're watching, it's passable. I would in no way say it's good though. And another thing to mention is even though it has a 120Hz refresh rate, it does feel laggy and slow on certain apps and at certain times. Obviously this is down to the processor, it's not the biggest, powerfulest chip, so it can handle quite a lot, but obviously demanding tasks or some bigger apps that have a few more features going on in the background, it might struggle with, and you can see that from time to time. If it's a really basic app or a really basic web page, it will have no problem whatsoever. But like I mentioned, it still does struggle even though it has that 120Hz refresh rate to show you 120Hz. But what I also want to mention is I've had some issues with some apps. So for instance, I've got ChatGPT, which I wanted to test, and when I first got it, it wouldn't install properly and it kept crashing on installation, and when after I installed it, it just wouldn't open. So I deleted it, I reinstalled it, and then it allowed me to open the app, but then after a few seconds it would crash. I had the same issue with Instagram, but after I uninstalled and reinstalled Instagram, it worked fine and it has worked fine ever since. However, there might be a few apps out there that will crash and won't work with this phone 100%. And I haven't tested every single app on the App Store to find out what those are, or the Play Store I should say, but there might be some. So if ChatGPT is a deal breaker for you, currently, through my testing, that app specifically doesn't work. So I am a little bit skeptical if there's others that also will just keep crashing. So my last question, and maybe most important question to answer, is would I recommend this phone? And I would. If you're on an extreme budget or maybe this is your first smartphone, this is one of the best value for money options on the market right now. It will do 80% of what all other smartphones do, and it will do it to an okay standard. Yes, it's not going to be the best in class for anything, but it will do it. So if you want to go on Instagram, Facebook or TikTok, call people, text people, it will do all of those things and it will do it well. It will do it so you can actually manage it and you won't necessarily notice anything you're missing. It's only when you do the harder tasks of extreme gaming or maybe some more apps that are a bit more demanding, that's when you might notice it. Also the speeds, it's not going to be the fastest phone or the flashiest phone, but it will get you through the day and it will do, like I said, 80% of what every other phone does, so you can get by using this with no issues. I personally think this is a great option for a child's first smartphone. So when your kid comes of age and you want to give them a smartphone, I think this is a great option just because of the price. If you're looking at something like the OnePlus 13, which is like $900, something like that, This being right now about $90. You can get 10 of these for the price of one of these. So it's just a no-brainer, especially if you're worried about it getting broken or worried about them having certain access to some things. You can get something like this, super cheap, super easy, and it doesn't necessarily matter if it gets damaged because you can replace it fairly inexpensively. Now, I do understand that $90 obviously isn't free, but in the realms of smartphones, it's relatively cheap. So yes, I would recommend, but not necessarily as your main daily driver if you are expecting to use it for heavy use stuff or just you want something fast and snappy. But overall, decent screen. You can get by with the screen. The sound, not the best, but you can hear and listen to stuff with very little issues. And then of course you can also use all the apps you necessarily want, maybe not ChatGPT, but most of the other popular ones. And yes, you can get by, even with the fast charging of 18 watts, it's decent. And all round, not a terrible phone. I'd love to know what you guys think of this down below in the comments. Are you interested in seeing other phones from Meizu, because this is their entry level and they do have their flagships? So if you're interested in that, let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.